It's wild, the number of stories that I am emailed or tagged in, and they are happening here in the United States and they are happening globally. I was sent this article from Raw Story. Indigenous Bolivian women take up taekwondo against gender based violence. I am literally just tired for what women are going through globally at the hands of these ex-wives. I'm literally tired for everything that women go through on a daily basis. But here's the story. A violent attack by would-be robbers steered Bolivian Lydia Mayta towards the martial art of Taekwondo. 3 years later, she helps train other indigenous women to defend themselves against rampant gender-based violence in the South American country. Mayta told AFP she would have died if neighbors hadn't come out of their own homes to scare off the assailants, choking her outside her front door. They were trying to steal her wallet. After the attack, she vowed she would never feel so helpless again. She joined a woman only class at the Warmi Power Taekwondo Studio in Bolivia's second city, El Alto. Warmi is woman in the indigenous Quichua language. Her enthusiasm was such that the founder soon asked her to join the training team, helping in particular to translate instructions into Aymara, another of Bolivia's indigenous tongue. I didn't know how to defend myself. Now I try to help other women lose that fear. The 56-year-old shopkeeper and community health secretary told AFP. This is a job of violence prevention. Government data shows that 8 out of 10 women and girls in Bolivia suffer physical violence at least once in their lives. This is a violent country for women, says Lucia Vargas of Coordinadora de la Mujer, a rights advocacy group. In 2023, 51,000 women reported falling victim to violence in the country. Husbands or partners were the perpetrators in the vast majority of cases. When people talk about men being protectors and providers, who do women typically need protection from? Answer that. Saving lives. Warmy Power was launched by Bolivians Laura Rocca and Kimberly Nosa in 2015. Both are Taekwondo black belts. Violence is not solved with violence, but learning to defend ourselves can save our lives, says Nosa, who has been practicing Taekwondo for 18 years. Roca is a trained psychologist who says she took up the discipline despite her father insisting it was the preserve of men. I don't know what preserve of men really means. Together, the pair have trained more than 35,000 women countrywide. At the class in El Alto, most of the women are indigenous and engaged in informal trade. Many dressed in traditional Aymara bulging skirt with woolen blanket and tall bowler hats over two long braids. They start each session with a muscle warm up. Most have never dealt a blow in their lives and seem uncertain with their first air punches, but they soon get into the routine. They kick, they scream, they learn to identify an assailant's weak spots. Meta walks through the class correcting postures and motivating participants to project their fears onto inanimate objects, which they attack with gusto. Among the pupils is cheese vendor Marcelina Quispa, who's 45. She told AFP she was inspired to take up Taekwondo by a friend's experience with domestic violence. Her husband told her, I'm going to bury you in the yard if you leave me. I told her not to be afraid, that we would not abandon her. And I came to these classes because you never know when misfortune will come knocking, she said. Her friend ended up running away from home. You're powerful. Women's rights groups in Bolivia say gender based violence is normalized in a society where many men see women as property. There is a cruelty to the lives of women who seek their independence, said Vargas. Since 2013, Bolivia has had a specific law to protect women from gender-based violence. It prescribed a 30-year prison term for the crime of femicide when a woman is unalive for being a woman. But since the law entered into force, 1,085 femicides have been reported, and critics say not enough resources are dedicated to fighting gender-based crime in Bolivia. At the end of their class in El Alto, the Taekwondo pupils walk one by one through a tunnel formed by two rows of women holding hands. You're beautiful, you're powerful, you're valuable. You're a warrior, you're strong, they are told and slapped on the back encouragingly. The class ends with a group hug. People simply act like feminism is not needed. Women and girls are under attack simply by being born women and girls because men believe that women and girls are property, that they can do whatever they want to with it. That so that when a woman or girl asserts some independence and wants to be treated like a human, when human dignity, then she's threatened, she's harmed. This is the reason why I am a feminist and I go hard for women and girls globally. I will share our stories because we are not safe. We're not safe. And some people are like, are intent on making feminism about hating men, and it's not. It's about wanting girls and women to be safe. But when we talk about our safety not being there, when we talk about women and girls being harmed, being victims of crime, of course we have to talk about the perpetrators, and the perpetrators are typically who? Now, to segue into this, the only connection is the gender based violence that women are facing, but this is in a whole nother community. This police officer, is talking about what women are facing at the hands of men in London. So if you're on TikTok, I'm just going to put this in the caption. You can click on it and watch. If you are following my YouTube page, I'm just going to attach it. But women are under attack. Women are not safe globally, and we have got to continue to talk about it. I know it gets challenging to see these stories continually. It's happening here in the United States. I am aware, but I talk about these things globally because women are not treated well anywhere. It and it's typically at the hands of whom. So it's like, you people act like I just got to move over there, it'll be better over there, it'll be better down there, it'll be better over there. No, things have got to change and get become better for women globally, for us all to be safe somewhere. All right, check out this video.
In 1 year in London, the number of men who have an allegation made against them of a VAUG offence, so rape, domestic violence, child abuse, etc. Number of men in 1 year named is 34,000. The number of in the country, the number of women who say they've been sexually assaulted in a year from the British Crime Survey is around 800,000. The National Crime Agency estimates that 750,000 men in the UK have a sexual interest in children. You start to add these numbers together, there are a lot of men who are a threat to women and children, and we're trying to build the capabilities to both react better to the crimes that are reported and to proactively, in public space or with dangerous offenders, protect women and children. And we're making progress by being cleverer, better organised. But we're going to need the support of future governments to really build the scale of resource to deal with this problem across the country that is the same scale of resource that you have proportionally to deal with, say, terrorism and organised crime.
I was sent this article from the New York Post. It's definitely relevant to my network. Millennial women are about to get richer and control more money than ever, report finds. Let's look at this. Millennial women are about to control more money than ever, and they're betting on each other. Researchers at financial organization Elvest surveyed over 2,000 women aged 18 to 69 with a salary higher than $150,000 or a net worth of $750,000 or more to determine how an expected great wealth transfer will impact and be impacted by women. The great wealth transfer refers to the tens of trillions of dollars that baby boomers are expected to pass down over the next 20 years. As that money is shared, seismic changes in the economy and society are expected to take place. With that has been coined the feminization of wealth, the Elvis survey found. The majority of women, 94%, said they believe that their economic power is being underestimated. Only 17% of men and 42% of women believe women will benefit the most from the great wealth transfer, the report found, but they will, according to Elvest. By 2030, which is literally a rock throw away, American women will manage at least $30 trillion more than the national GDP. We've never seen this kind of change. This is expected to shrink but not close the gender wealth gap. As women typically outlive men, boomer women are expected to inherit more money and pass it down to millennials, a generation that has a record number of single women. Nearly half, about 45%, of millennial women either had received or soon expected to receive a financial windfall of about 300,000 according to the report. Of those lucky inheritors, 80% said they would feel comfortable challenging long-held money taboos and talking about finances with their families. This extra chunk of change will also allow about a quarter of women to leave relationships that no longer serve them, double that of women who don't expect a financial windfall. Adding to their wealth won't just impact the women individually, but their unique spending habits will influence societal changes, according to the report. The numbers for the great wealth transfer are so large that women have the opportunity to reshape a broad swath of our society. Millennial women will make investing a financial windfall their top priority, 45%, with others planning to put it in the bank, 39%, and spend their money traveling, 33%. When they do invest, millennials are twice as likely as boomers to invest in impact based causes, the survey found. In fact, 88% of millennials say they are interested in investing in climate causes, with it being one of their top financial concerns. Climate change impacts women more drastically than it does men, according to the report. Women have also been found to give away a larger percentage of their wealth than men. Many women plan to donate to organizations backing women and girls, using their financial power to support issues like reproductive rights and women's health. They are also likely to invest in other women, hire other women, and pay women high salaries. A world where women control more wealth could look very different, researchers said. And I am here for it. All of these changes that have been happening in the past year and a half have been amazing, and people better get on board. We see the changes coming. Some people are not paying attention, but I certainly am, and I appreciate being sent this article. Now, to segue into another completely unrelated article, Alabama governor signs bill to protect IVF treatments into law. The Republican led legislature scrambled to create a fix to protect IVF after the state Supreme Court decision that embryos are children created a national uproar. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey signed a GOP proposed law to protect IVF into law Wednesday night after weeks of backlash prompted by a controversial state Supreme Court ruling that embryos are considered children. Ivey, a Republican, signed the measure just moments after lawmakers passed it and sent it to her desk. IVF is a complex issue, no doubt, and I anticipate there will be more work to come, but right now I am confident that this legislation will provide the assurances our IVF clinics need and will lead them to resume services immediately, she said in a statement. The swift action by the Republican dominated legislature capped a tumultuous weeks long sprint by lawmakers in the ruby red state sparked by the state Supreme Court's controversial ruling. While the legislation enacted late Wednesday fails to answer the core question prompted by the court's decision whether an embryo created by IVF should be treated as a child under Alabama law, the measure's Republican supporters were hopeful it would serve as a short-term solution that would allow clinics in the state that had halted their services to reopen. The immediate response from such clinics were mixed. They said they would resume services quickly, but one of those expressed significant caution. The enacted legislation doesn't define or clarify whether the state law frozen embryos created via IVF have the same rights as children. Rather, the narrowly tailored bill is designed to protect doctors, clinics, and other healthcare personnel who provide IVF treatment and services by offering such workers civil and criminal immunity. The new law will provide civil and criminal immunity for death or damage to an embryo to any individual or entity when providing or receiving services related to IVF. During the debates in both chambers Tuesday, lawmakers removed the words goods from the phrase goods or services from the bill, meaning companies that provide items that are integral to the IVF process could still face civil lawsuits, but not criminal prosecution if their products are determined to damage or destroy embryos. The enacted bill also caps the monetary awards in such suits at the price patients paid for the affected IVF cycle. Reproductive rights advocates have said that providers of such goods could most prominently include the liquid solution clinics use to help grow the embryos. Those groups criticized the legislation, saying it failed to fully protect IVF care against broader issues the ruling raised. Barbara Kalura, the president of Resolve, the National Infertility Association, said in a statement that while her group was relieved that Alabama clinics can reopen their IVF programs, the legislation does not address the underlying issue of the status of embryos as part of the IVF process, threatening the long term standard of care for IVF patients. There's more work to be done. Paula Torres, a senior counsel at the Center for Reproductive Rights, said the bill falls far short of what Alabamans want and need to access fertility care in their state without fear. Even on its face, this bill seeks to grant personhood to embryos, reinforcing the state Supreme Court's extreme ruling recognizing embryos as children, adding that legislation amounted to backpedaling in the face of state and nationwide public outcry to allow politicians to save face. Nevertheless, at least two fertility clinics in the state signaled they were prepared to resume embryo transfers and other care as soon as this week. We believe it provides the protections that we need to start care or resume care, said Dr. Janet Boonight, who practices at Alabama Fertility, one of the clinics that paused IVF after the ruling, said of the legislation. But officials at UAB, which had also halted care, expressed caution. While UAB is moving to promptly resume IVF treatments, we will continue to assess developments and advocate for protections for IVF patients and providers. Hannah Eccles, a UAB spokesperson, said in a statement. The votes Wednesday followed multiple hearings over the past few weeks featuring hours of emotional, intense debate among state lawmakers who, despite broad objections to the proposal, repeatedly voted overwhelmingly to continue advancing them. During discussions last week about the bills, pro reproductive rights Democrats joined the anti abortion rights Republicans in criticizing the bill for failing to explicitly clarify whether an embryo created by IVF should be treated as a child under Alabama law. Democrats had sought language clarifying that embryos weren't children under the law, while some Republicans had argued for personhood language establishing that they were. The enacted bill's Republican supporters repeatedly said that this legislation is imperfect and that it's intended as a quick fix to allow the IVF clinics to reopen. So we shall see what happens with this far reaching ruling by the Alabama Supreme Court that embryos were children. We shall see. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about these stories, all of them. Like, comment, share.